Thank you. Good morning all. My name is Gary Sleath and basically look after the apprenticeship programme for BMW. I'll go into a little bit about our apprenticeship programme. Some of these pictures you recognise from earlier on, and it seems to be a recurrent theme throughout there. And it amazes me. I mean, I've been teaching since it was YTS, and we spoke about these type of people when it was YTS. You know, people coming to me and saying, I've got this young man, he's not too bright up top, but good with his hands, thought he might make a motor mechanic. You know, and I used to think, blimey, you've just really insulted me, because at the end of the day, I classify myself as a motor mechanic. That's what I trained as. You know, and you're now coming along and saying that to me. But that's what people's perceptions is about the motor trade, you know, the East Enders. But when you get out there in the reality of our dealer network, and you look at our dealers, and you go into a modern day dealer, and the money that's invested in those dealerships. And then the picture below is one from one of our workshops, and you'll see that this afternoon and recognise that. That's what the modern day workshop looks like. We try to replicate that in terms of our dealer standards within our workshops at the Academy. Okay, so that's what the modern day dealer is all about. And if you think about apprenticeship programmes, it says in 2011, recruitment generally aimed at young school leavers, and 58% of companies recruited 16-year-olds from school. 11% of companies recruited from university and higher education, and there's approximately 18,000 apprentices employed in the automotive retail. So it just shows you apprenticeships, how important they are now becoming more and more. You know, there's there's actually a company out there, and you'll probably know it, called notgoingtouni.com. Because there's alternatives for people when they go into education not to go to university. I'm not saying that that's something you shouldn't do, but there's more than just that. And apprenticeships are a good grounding. And I'm sure a lot of people in this room, when they left school at 16, they did apprenticeships. And you think about the positions that people attain and gain by going through that. So I think apprenticeships are a really good grounding. This one, what I should have done is blanked out the wording, and I asked you if you remembered what was in there from the slide earlier on, because you've probably seen it before. But there's a wide variety of apprenticeships in the automotive industry out there. And as it says there, 2011, we took on over 13,000 apprenticeships. For the BMW programme, we are a national programme. You've seen the map before, and this is quite prevalent actually, because in Aberdeen we have 5 apprentices in the dealership in Aberdeen. They're one of the biggest supporters of our programme there. And if you go right the way through to the Channel Islands, we have an apprentice from Guernsey. So we are a UK-wide programme, like I say, England, Scotland, Wales and the Channel Islands. We have something like about 256 apprentices on the programme, and that's just a snapshot from our last in-training list, and that changes all the while as we take people on and people graduate and they get their qualifications. But it roughly splits down to about 164 service technicians, which you'll probably know, the most popular apprenticeship programme there is. We do panel and paint. In that as well, we've got MET students. And this year we've got one of our dealer groups is looking to actually take on roughly somewhere about 11, 12 MET students. So we can more or less put a group on just for that dealer network, for that dealer group, should I say. At present we have 9 motorrad students, our motorcycle side of it, and we have 38 parts. That's one that we're always trying to promote more, and everybody knows that service technicians and panel and paint, things like that, but that's that part side of it. And it's more about, do you have an interest in cars, but more a retail side. People who want to get into sales and things like that. And we probably want to try and, you know, at one point, I remember my niece wanting to get into retail, and she wanted to go and work for Marks and Spencer's or Jaeger, somebody like that, because they were renowned as being one of the best retail apprenticeship programs about. I would like to think to ourselves that our parts program, the BMW parts program, is one of the best retail programs about, and that's where I'd like to pitch that and try and attract those people that want to go into that. We're roughly around about 130 new intake each year, and we try to do a rolling program. So once we've got enough people to form a group, we'll get it onto the program and get those people started. And throughout the 3 years or 2 years on the program, we roughly have about 95% of our students stay with us. I don't know what our statistics are after that, and we ought to really look at that, because every time you walk down the Strasa, and you'll see that this afternoon, and there's apprentices that are on adult courses. You know, the amount of apprentices that come back and are there doing adult training, and you see them time and time again. And the different programs that we follow, so we have light vehicle technicians. It's over a 3-year period, and it's 23 weeks. I think something like 10 weeks in the first year, 8 weeks in the second year, and 5 weeks in the third year. Slowly coming down, because at the end of the day, it's quite interesting earlier on when we talked about return on investment, because that third year student is actually becoming quite a useful person within the dealership. So you can't afford to have them away for so long in the third year, and we're probably doing more specialist type training with them by then. Phil spoke about earlier on the ATA program that we run with technician, senior tech and master tech. All of our service technician apprentices, when they graduate, will be on that first rung of the technician level in the BMW program. So it sets them up nicely then, going on, not just come out of the apprenticeship program and what's that, we actually go on as a full development program for them to do. We have a motorcycle technician, so it's again over 3 years and 19 weeks on that. Probably a little bit less, only 2 wheels rather than 4. But the technology that's on motorbikes now. The other day we did a careers event at the national for the National Apprenticeship Week over at Legoland, and we had one of our motorcycles there. It was the R1000 SS HP4. And the guys are telling me it's got launch control on it, it's got wet setting on it. It's virtually an out-and-out race bike for the road. So the level of technology there with motorcycles is greatly above and beyond what it used to be, especially when I used to have my BSA C15. And then our body repair technicians, and this is where Phil said we do our training for those up at Ruddington. I have a body repair and paint training facility up there. But again, it's a 3-year program. In the first year, because it's fairly generic, our body and paint are together, and then after the first year they will split, and one either go down the paint program or the body program. And then we have our parts advisor. That's 8 weeks over a 2-year program. But also we try and do some distance learning with those guys as well on that. So that's not all in the training centre. So they're our basic programs. Again, we've got MET into that, and want to look maybe at do we expand that range of programs as well as we move forward. For our apprenticeship program, it's VCQs, VRQs. We're with the IMI awarding body for all of our qualifications. And we do functional skills or country specific, so essential skills in Wales. And all of our programs go to level 3. So do level 2 and then the level 3. Written to national curriculum, but it has everything that the apprentices do will be on BMW cars and BMW technology. So when you go over to the workshops and have a look around our training facility, it's all about BMW. Okay. So when an apprentice comes out of there, quite often a lot of the apprentices are going back to their dealerships and they'll say, "Oh, whilst we're down at the training academy, I saw this. This is the latest bit of equipment." Our apprentices probably see new product, new equipment quicker than some of our technicians, because their apprentices are there all the while. You know, they're coming back regular. So they quickly become a very valuable member of the team back at the dealership. We do some additional qualifications as well. All the while, we're looking to what can we add value to our program. So we do the automotive refrigerant handling, and all of our apprentices now, part of their program on the service technician side, are this electric hybrid vehicles. Phil spoke about that earlier on as being the future. We've got to recognise that with our apprentices and make sure that they're capable of dealing with products that's coming out in the future. We do the ATA, like I say, take them up to service maintenance technician level. For the body guys, we'll do welding and spot welding. But if we think there's something relevant that our apprentices should be doing and we can add into our programme, we will do. Some of the other things that add value to our programme, all of our apprentices go to the National Water Sports Centre in Wales. So that's the first time they meet up. So as a group, they will go to Plasmenai and they'll spend a week at the National Water Sports Centre there. Also, what we used to do is actually take our apprentices to Plant Oxford for a day, for a trip round the plant. And just recently, myself and Phil went up to Plant Oxford, and we're now actually trying to get them to work actually on the line, do 2 days up at the plant, 1 day in their training school, and then actually 1 day on the line shadowing somebody. And one of the most amazing things I found about the day was that as technicians, and when I was a technician on the shop floor, you always talk about times of jobs, or you get 2 hours for doing this service and an hour for doing this, or it's half an hour, and you go, blimey, how do they get these things done in this time, etc., etc. We spoke up there, and it was a 68-second turnaround time on their tasks. So the people have 68 seconds to get the job done. And I thought, what a fantastic thing to be able to show, and we can show the car to the students. One of the most, we talked about wiring. One of the things that you don't usually see the wiring in a car, because it's the first thing that goes in, and then we put everything else on top of it. We have this facility now to actually show the students the car from bare bones upwards, and that's great because BMW being in this position where we actually have a manufacturing plant base in the country, we can do that as part of our programme, and we think that's a really good experience for them. And as Phil said, all of our students do the Brand and Customer Institute course over here. So every apprentice will get that brand training. Even the guys at Ruddington, they will come down to the Brand Academy here. So to get that instilled at a very early stage in their career. We try to look at other things. We do some Castrol. The guys go over to Castrol over at Pangbourne, and also they come to us to deliver some training. We do driver safety. One of the things with having the accommodation on site, what we try to do is do some things at night with those, and the guys come over from Thames Valley Police and they do some training about driver safety. I mean, they're all young lads, young girls, all get into their cars and whatever. So we think we need to be a bit responsible about that and look at that. And then one of the other things do a little bit with drug awareness as well. Because again, youngsters, there's 16, a lot of peer pressure, and so we're looking at getting that started as well in the next month or two. Again, additional activities. We have a graduation each year, so all the students that have passed their final year have a graduation, and we have students of the year. So if we've got a service technician student of the year, or a body repair, parts, that sort of thing, those students of the year, we will take them over to Germany. So we'll do a 3-4 day trip over to Germany, see the BMW facilities over there, museums, and we take them over to a dealership, and that's probably got something, I think it's about 130 technicians or something, a massive dealership over there that we take them around and show them what that's like. And we try to get positively encourage our students to enter competitions, enter awards. So the IMI Outstanding Achievers Award, National Apprenticeship, and the Skill Auto. And we had one of our painters, Ben Eaton, he won a bronze medal in the World Skill Auto competition. Did many of you go to the Excel? Go down to Excel, yeah. I mean, I was just amazed. I'd never seen it before. It was just an amazing site, how big it was. And also the skills that the youngsters had were just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, in all sorts of areas. And we have a picture there of our awards. And part of that award is Tim Abbott is at the award and hands our apprentices, all of them, their certificates. And on the day, those guys that have passed out as master techs and I think there's probably only about 10 to 15 each year, new master techs. They get awarded their certificate, and it's great because the apprentices who have just got their apprenticeship certificates and level 3s, their advanced apprenticeship, they can then see those master techs, those people that, that's where I want to be, that's what I want to aspire to be. They can see that development route, and there's something for those guys to aim at. And it is a really, really good day, a real good celebration of their success. Our apprenticeship programme, there's myself, the apprenticeship manager, we have a lead IV and centre coordinator, and we have 2 people that run the administration and recruitment. That's one of the things that we help the dealer network with, is our recruitment side. So we sort of get all the vacancies together, and we get all the people that apply to us. We've got a database of those and try and match them together. We'll do online testing for them, we'll do interviews, do all sorts, and we'll place adverts and things on various websites, whatever. We have a program developer and our e-portfolio champion. We use the IMI e-portfolio, and Craig Critch is our e-portfolio champion with that. We have 4 apprentice technical trainers, and then we have 5 careers program advisors. And basically, the technical trainers are within the academy, and then the program advisors are our field team that go out there and support the apprentices out in the dealer network. Also, to support the apprentice out in the dealer network, fairly unique to motor industry, is we have a mentor program. And each dealer, if they take on an apprentice, and it doesn't matter whether that's apprentice service technician or parts or body repairer, they will have a mentor. And that will be somebody within the company. If they haven't got the award already, we will take them through the assessor award. Right? It won't necessarily be the manager. Or supervisor. It will be somebody that will mentor that student through and do all the observations for them, so they can observe them when they actually really happen. If we just rely on our field team to go out there and get those observations, that's 4 times a year we've got to make that sort of happen. And when you get into the end of a qualification, students are phoning you up and saying, I've got this car coming in tomorrow, can we do an observation? And that field person may be 100 miles away or 150 miles away and not able to do that. But with having a mentor on site, we can capture it as it happens a lot quicker, and it speeds up the process of doing that. And we run a training program for that. The guys will come in and we'll do training with them, and we'll do update training as well for the mentor program at the academy. Our recruitment process. So we have a web address that, and they go onto our website, and students candidates can apply online there. So we'll register the vacancy with the apprenticeship program, and then basically what we do is we match applicants to those vacancies, and then once we've matched those people, we'll do some they're psychometrically assessed, and then all the suitable applicants then go forward to the dealer for interview, and we can help with that and do those interviews and narrow that down to the bit where we've got probably 3 or 4 students that for work experience, and they'll do a trial work experience within the dealer for 2 or 3 days. And then the dealer will make the choice. Once they've made the choice, get the student signed onto the program, and then they're assigned to their group and their induction, and that's the next step. As soon as the induction's done, then they're onto the program and start their training. That's what I say about a program. I've just got a short video clip about, come on, what are apprentices. And there's a couple of apprentices. These 2 apprentices are currently on the program at the moment.
I wanted to be an apprentice technician because I've got a passion for automotive engineering and Formula 1 and motorsport.
They invited me for an interview before the work experience just to see if I would enjoy it. So I went into the interview, it seemed fine, did the work experience, absolutely loved it. And then a couple of months later they sent me another letter offering me the job.
In my time I've learned everything from a basic oil change all the way to major diagnostic works on the flagship models of BMW. After being a great career, it's given me a lot more confidence than I used to have. Also gives me opportunity to meet new people every day, such as celebrities as well.
The most challenging part of the apprenticeship, I suppose, trying to remember all the information that is given to you, because there's so much that you've got to learn. But with the help of the trainers and people you work with, you learn to deal with it. It's much better than just work, because you're learning and getting paid for it.
In the future, I hope my apprenticeship takes me into management. I've got an ambition of being a leader principal.
I would like to stay with my company for at least 5 years and hopefully build my way up to either service technician or master.
I would say if someone wants to become an apprentice, 100% go for it. It's the best career you could possibly have with BMW.
It's just amazing, I love it.
That's what our apprentices say about the programme. That was taken at an event we held last November, Discover Automotive Retail, and we had 2 days with people, schools. We had invited schools in and school students, and then we had a day where we invited careers people in to have a look at that. And the apprentices ran that day. We set out some things, some exercises for them to do, and they actually ran it. They ran the exercises, and Sarah and Cameron there, they spoke to audiences such as yourself on their experience. I set Sarah a challenge to be one of our first female master technicians from our apprenticeship programme. And I think she's got the capability of doing that. So it was a very, very good day, very good day. But our programme is all about, people for the future. If we look at the picture below, we talk about a concept car. Come 2014, that's going to be reality. So we in the BMW Pavilion at the Olympics, there was a model there, and I think it's been on display at Park Lane in the showroom there. 2014, we are going to be working on that car. To me, it looks like something out of Judge Dredd. It really looks so futuristic on there. It looks a fantastic car. But we've got to teach and train people, and especially youngsters, to be able to deal with that technology. And that's why we want really good, bright, young people in our industry. Any questions about the apprenticeship programme?
Gary.
Gary, it was good to see that there was a female apprentice there, and that's something I'm really trying to promote in the school that I work in. Do you have a percentage number?
We're just slightly, I think in the automotive industry, it's about 1.7, fluctuates around 1.7, 1.8 for females within that. We're around about 2%, and it's one of the things that we're really trying to actively promote. We've held a managers meeting here, and all those managers and HR managers were all female managers to try to see what we could do with that. And another thing that we've done this year is actually gone out to schools, and we've done 2 or 3 all-girls schools now as well, careers affairs at girls' schools. So that's something definitely we want to try and promote, because at the end of the day, it's not about lifting dirty, great big gearboxes, and it's like Phil says, it's computer technology.
Yeah, I mean, if they enjoy working with computers, which most will do, there's no reason why they can't fix a car the same way as a male or a female can. So we're really trying hard to get that message over. But it's so hard sometimes because all you see on TV is the other side of the industry and not the side that we operate in. But hopefully that perception will change.
Had a question?
Yeah, Gary, Patrick Hamilton with Suffolk College. Vehicle sales, apprenticeships and all, obviously the brand, here we are, obviously selling the vehicles is really important. So are you doing like apprenticeship schemes?
It's I think in the past they've looked at sales, and it's always a little bit difficult because, as you can appreciate, some of our models are quite a high performance model. So when it comes to the test drive side of it, it's how do you do that? So we have done, and in my past experience have done sales, but it's never really been a massive take up on that for say a single manufacturer. But who's to know? Maybe it's something that we look at and we think that might be an area we do.
I mean, you do training here, obviously, to sell a car a certain set of skills, to coerce a customer like that Marshall, all the dealerships there, why do you want to buy this brand? So it's a set of skills. So you do training here for the sales side as well?
Yes, we do training the sales side. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a big part of the non-technical training that we do.
Yeah.
So it's very much from a sales point of view, how to sell a car, how to display the car, how to walk people around the car, and all the systems they use from the sales point of view.
Do they get any accredited qualification? Because
Yeah, we do, yeah, we
Steve
do.
Nash sort of say, like, obviously, transfer of management, they do get a qualification.
Yeah, we do have a BMW accreditation scheme for salespeople and after salespeople as well. But we train them through that program because so they become accredited in the BMW program. Yeah.
I think some of this is about traditional ways that, and actually some of those traditional ways do need to be challenged and changed, but
Yeah.
it's the traditional ways that people come into the industry. I mean, if you want to come in on the technical side, you pretty much know you've got to go through the apprentice route.
Yeah.
That's never been a requirement on the sales side, has it? You know, it's here and elsewhere in the industry. You know, very often it's about what you do with those people once they're in. You know, whereas it's slightly different. You've heard, you know, coming into this side, there are prerequisites, and then you've got to be trained, and only then will you actually be let loose on the vehicles. It's in the past that's never been true on the sales side, but so you're very often taking the material that's there,
Yeah.
and then sort of bringing them up to speed. I think it is moving on. It is moving on. The industry is becoming just as complex on the sales side, I think,
Yeah.
these days. The array of products, the knowledge you need to do that, and just the regulations around finance and everything else. I think that will change, and I think that will drive the need to do things in a similar way on the sales side to the way it's being done. Yeah, a lot of the reasons why we're doing so much work on the management leadership side with these guys and all these other brands that are talking to us is because traditionally on the retail side, I'm telling you what you already know really, but on the retail side, more of the managers have, in the past, and again this is changing, but in the past they've mainly come from the sales side. You know, your best salesman became your sales manager, became your dealer principal, but actually had never gained any management or leadership skills, never been given them, you know, and that has to change. That has to change because the business is too sophisticated for that to be the case in the future. And there are more and more people coming from the after sales side.
Yes.
I think the whole world of retailing is changing full stop. How we buy things, and that may have a massive influence on where we go with that. We had a question of it.
I was just going to ask, can you say a bit about the master technician role, and is that where students are sponsored to do a degree?
Not a degree as such, no. I mean, in terms of the master technicians, we go through the ATA scheme, so become a technician, ATA technician, then a senior, and then a master technician. To achieve that master technician, it's very difficult because it's, you know, if you're a BMW master technician, you know, you're up here in terms of your technical ability, and they have to do practical assessments, and part of that practical assessment is diagnosing faults on cars, and they're complex faults, but also it's a customer handling assessment they have as well, and also a coaching assessment, because those individuals are not just there to fix cars, they're help promote the brand, and they see a lot of our customers, because when a customer has a problem with a car, sometimes they like to speak to someone that's actually going to fix the car, and those master techs are educated to be able to speak to our customers in a way that we expect a master tech to speak to our customers, and so that there's a lot of responsibility put on those individuals, but also they get great recognition for what they do. I mean, if they pass the master assessment, we take them to Germany for 5 days, and there are other events for them during the year as well, so they're well looked after as such. But they're worth the weight in gold, quite frankly. If I could have every single one of our dealers with a master technician, I would do. But there's some very clever senior technicians out there that don't want to go to that level, but they're very clever in what they do, and they're probably at that level already. They just don't want to take that next level on.
With the level 3 technicians, you know, the training days, seem a little bit, they don't seem to have many training days with everything else that they're involved with. Is it, I mean, like the VRQ element, is that done in the training centre, or is that done in the...
The VRQ is done within the training centre, so that's more.
Are they using evidence from the workplace and all of that?
They will use in some of the parts of it. They will use evidence for it, but a lot of the evidence for the VRQ is generated within the training centre. On that, with 23 weeks, 5 days a week, it equates normally to about the same amount of days that a student would be at a college on a 1 day a week training course.
It just
you know,
think it's
dailies.
a lot of social things, don't they?
It is, but when they come in for a week, actually the day starts about 8:30, finishes around about 5 o'clock, so it's quite a long day. And also, you don't have the limitations of, say, right, okay, then we've got to put all this back together tonight, and you'll have to have a look at it next week when you come in. It can be sat there, you know, an engine can be in pieces, and then you can pick up again the following day. And that's the beauty about block training, is that you don't have to finish 5 o'clock that day and wait a week or so before you come back to it again.
Do you have any support for the independent training organisations?
Um,
You know, if an independent training organisation asks you for any information or anything?
in the past we have supported with us being the old beacon status, and part of being beacon status is that we help and assist others within their within the education programme. We have had some ties with other colleges out there and supplied equipment, supplied some of the resources, and they've come up to the academy, and we've been down to those before.
Yeah.
So we have supplied.
Yeah, we have quite a few visitors come to the academy to see what we do and how we do it. And we've ran through our apprenticeship programme with quite a few different training providers, so they can see how we do and how we deliver what we do. In terms of giving them training material, that's copyrighted, so we tend not to do that. But of course, you know, how we develop and what additional elements we put into our apprenticeship programme is quite you know, good information for them. But we do support them in that process.
And then with other things, we as with the authorities training, with the apprentices, we look at authorities if we can support them with that, if they're using our product.
Yeah, you were saying earlier about you know, you feel quite insulted when people say yeah, not particularly academic.
Yeah,
you're good with your
hands.
hands.
Yeah.
Exactly the same boat. And we're just recruiting now. Obviously, I'm at West Knox College up in Mansfield. Recruiting now for the next academic year, and we're still getting this. You know, people, you know, careers advisors in schools are still sort of like going down this line. And one of the things I try and sort of like instill is, you know, is try and give examples of, you know, the sort of like entry criteria that the manufacturers would have for an apprenticeship. So what BMW ask for basically?
We're looking for 3 grade C's, GCSE 3 grade C's or above, and it's amazing actually. It's quite a good pool out there with kids who've got that qualification. Last week we were at the Wednesday, I should say, we were at the FA, and we did a day there talking to youngsters in football academy, and there were different academies that we've got. So we got Forest had come down and County. I don't think Mansfield were there, but my team Leicester were there with their youngsters, and I was really amazed at you know, people think about footballers and probably their education and what they've got, and we're saying, yeah, you know, want 3 grade C's and above, and I got youngsters, oh, will A levels do? And I'm like, yes please, because you know, I was amazed at probably some of the level.
And one of the most important things for us is individuals that have a passion for doing it. They have a passion for the motor industry and a passion to be able to learn all the technology. You know, those individuals you saw on the video, they have a real passion for what they do, and they can learn and absorb the information. If someone, they might have the qualification, but they don't have the passion to be able to want to work in a workshop environment or any other environment that we have out there, it's just not going to work for them. They won't take that information on board. So yes, the qualifications are important, but for me it's a real passion to want to be able to do that and fix the type of technology you've seen today. That's really important as well.
So how do you assess that? Interview?
Yeah, interview, yeah, that's right, yeah.
But on, you know,
The question, Phil, was how do you assess it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Well, yeah. I mean, we do it. There's interview process at the dealerships, and so we also we do work experience as well with the dealers. So the dealers will have maybe 3 or 4 different candidates, and may interview them, and they have they'll put them with technicians in the workshop, and also so that they get a feel of, you know, whether they're asking the right questions, whether they feel they have a passion. I think you can know that over a few days really, and you can't be perfect and you can't get it right every single time. But hopefully we can get that passion. If one individual out of 5 is absolutely really burning passion there, that will become evident at the time. Yeah.
The first question, why cars? You know, why do you want to come into the motor? What do you? I mean, I know as a kid, my dad was like exasperated with me because I always had my push bike in bits in the shed. You know, usually youngsters have got the messing around with something and got it in bits and put it back together.
Yeah, just the 3 C's, which I find incredibly low, must include maths.
Maths and English and science or IT.
Right, they are, right.
Yeah, they're the things.
Yeah,
But it's, you know, it's again, it's got to be that passion as well. You've got to have that passion about
absolutely.
it.
But you must require the academic rigour from what we've seen
So,
today.
yeah, you've got the academic side, but you must have that passion. And our strapline now and our banner is, you know, first things, are you interested in cars or bikes? That's the big thing.
So when the students go to a dealership for some work experience, having been through the process of applying, they're in a competitive situation usually, are they?
They'll probably go on an individual. So say we had 3 apprentices. The dealer says to me, right, I've got 3 apprentices or 3 candidates that I'm really interested in, and they'll say, can you come in Monday, Tuesday, and then you come in, say, Thursday, Friday, and the other person will come in the following week for a couple of days. And usually, this is where sometimes the current mentor in the dealership or the master technician will take quite a lead role in that, and as they're working in the dealership, youngsters, they'll sort of be evaluating them and getting some idea of what they're about and what they're like, what their work ethic's like, things like that. So they won't be in there all together at the same time, but they'll be there as individuals and just being monitored by the people who look after the apprentices and the dealer.
Okay, any more questions, or is that okay? Hopefully, you found that information really useful and give you an insight into what we do with the academy and with our apprenticeship programs as well. I mean, after lunch there is a tour around the academy, so you'll see a little bit more. And if you've got any questions, please ask myself or Gary when we do the little tour around the academy. So if you've got any burning questions, then please ask us.
Okay.